Welcome to the Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. And there's also a coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and X. Now we are joined by One Deck, Adam, Click OK, Jin, Arthur, Neil, and a whole bunch of people in the Flat Earth Debate Discord server. So welcome one and all.
Set the record straight.
How you doing, everybody? Wicked.
Hey.
I want to hear the bass, I want to hear the mids, and I want to hear the top. And I want to hear it all separate. Talking hi-fi in the pre-show. Talking about takes being rubbish and Jin's not having it. It's like, no, tapes are great. Like, no, they're not. You don't know what you're talking about. Tapes are rubbish.
No, I think you don't know what you're talking about, mate. Honestly, they're not rubbish at all.
Compared to CDs, they are.
It's funny where I recorded stuff in London, right? I'm in Japan here now. Been there 26 years. And everybody that hears the music that I was listening to in the 80s, that I recorded myself, they said, the first thing they said was the sound quality was good. That's the first thing they said. So you're talking out your ass, mate. Honestly. Talking rubbish.
Yeah, when it's got the limitations of tape itself, it's just not as good as CD and never will be. Yeah, by comparison to what we have modern times. But often people don't use the highest of quality when they're compressing stuff in modern music. So, you know, you can hear stuff that is heavily compressed. It's still going to be better than tape, though.
I'm not saying it's not going to, I'm not saying CD is better than tape. I'm saying that the quality that I achieved with the cassette that I had and the cassette player is really, really, I mean, anyway, it's okay.
I'm sure
when you
it
hear
was.
The music
I'm not
for
saying
yourself,
it
you
wasn't.
will know.
I wouldn't disagree. People got good sound out of tape. I'm not saying it wasn't.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Anyway.
I've got excellent sound. You could hear every instrument clearly. Go ahead, Mondek.
I still listen to one of the, first DJ, Greg Wilson, first DJ to start mixing in the Manchester club, the Hacienda, where Acid House started and all that. And I still listen to Greg Wilson. He's a really, really good DJ. And he uses reel-to-reel when he's mixing rather than decks. He does use decks and things, but reel-to-reel. And you want to watch him use that if you're familiar with reel-to-reel. He's amazing.
That's what I want, reel-to-reel. My dad used to have one, you see. He had a Sony reel-to-reel. I want that now. That's what I want to play now. Beautiful stuff. Tapes are brilliant, mate. And the actual equipment as well. It's really good.
I mean,
until
nice.
The tape all comes out, you've got to get a pencil in the middle and try and get it all back in without ripping it.
It's nice to look at. I mean, it's nostalgic to see a giant reel-to-reel player. I'm not going to deny that. And reel-to-reel, if they were fast enough, could sound really good. Don't get me wrong. It's just no CD player. Anyway, the only thing I can try and connect this to a link halfway decent back to flat earthing was interviewing Dave Murphy about 5 years ago. He was talking about the Mandela effect and about C3PO having a silver leg, or not, as the case may be. And not at the time, but when I was selling hi-fi at that time, one of the things that we used to do was ask people what their favourite movie was, knowing full well that we had an entire wall full of laser discs, like, I don't know, 100 grand worth of movies on these discs that cost 100 quid a piece. And we had all of them. Every movie you could name that was popular, we had. So if someone came in, we'd be like, well, what movie do you like watching at home on your VCR that you think is never going to be outperformed because it was a similar sort of deal, right? I've got a 4-head VCR. There's nothing that's going to produce a better picture than that. On my TV, it looks so crisp. I'm like, oh, yeah. Okay, what film do you watch? Oh, I like Star Wars. Like, all right, come downstairs. Let's show you Star Wars. So you take this customer. This is in the hometown where I'm in, Leamington Spa. There used to be, it still is a hi-fi shop there, but it's just not where I worked. It used to be called Leamington Hi-Fi. But we'd take them downstairs to the demonstration room. And what we've got is we've got a 10 grand line doubler, 30 grand projector, and a laser disc player linked up to a really nice stereo, right? And you'd put the laser disc on and you play them a scene from Star Wars or The Matrix or whatever it is they wanted to watch, right? So you put on Star Wars, and one of the things that people would say was, has he got a silver leg? You'd be like, oh, did you not notice that on your 4-head VCR? On your telly? Did you not notice that? Because on this laser disc with a line doubler and a projector, you can notice that he's got a silver leg. But you can't notice that if you've got a crappy VCR with your crappy cassette that you shove in that goes... Yeah, this laser disc don't do that. This laser disc's whisper quiet. And this line doubler, right, that's doubling the number of lines that you get so you can see it in more clarity. And you'd blow people's socks off by making them see stuff in the picture that they didn't see prior. Same goes for audio, right? You'd take someone down and they'd be like, my cassette deck's the best cassette deck in the world. And you're like, oh yeah, come and have a listen to this £100 Technic CD player. Now, obviously you cheated. You put it on a 5 grand amplifier and a 10 grand pair of speakers and you're like, this is just a £100 CD player. You press play and like, you know, in that scene in Simpsons where the trousers are shaking and stuff like that, you get that and they'll be like, my God, it's like I'm at the concert. And you're like, yeah, it is. Yeah, that's right. Tell me how good your tape deck is. In other words, if you're trying to sell someone something that's 5 grand or 10 grand or 20 grand, hi-fi that is, you've got to make them piss their pants with how much better it is than what they expect. Now, if everyone's expectations are VCR and tape, then you've got a really easy task. You just stick a CD on and people are like, I had no idea it could sound this good. And you're like, yeah, it can. I was doing that to the point where I was selling people stereos that cost £1 million. £1 million hi-fis I was flogging at one point. Ludicrously expensive. But you had to blow their socks off. You had to be able to say to a studio, yeah, of course this amp's going to be better. What do you mean, is it worth the 100 grand? Yes, it is. Well, what you want me to show you? No problem. Press play and watch him go, my God, I never heard that cymbal. Is that a tambourine? Yeah. Did you never hear the tambourine in the music before? No, I didn't. Oh, well, there you go. That's because of my 100
All right,
grand
let's
amplifier.
get the flat earth. You cut me off during the show because you went live, and I was saying that we used to watch in the Z28 the lights going up and down as music was playing, but it needed a flat bass line for the frame of reference on that sound.
Yeah. There's one of the acousticians that does acoustic treatment. When I was treating this room that I used to watch, Acoustic Fields, and he constantly would describe how your fundamental frequency, bass, if it's resonating in the room, it affects absolutely everything going up the frequency response that's sympathetic to that frequency. So yeah, you've got to have a nice treated space. You've got to do a lot of things to make it sound good. And often people didn't know that. So if you know all the little tricks that you use to get an audio system to sound good, often people are in a room. They don't. If you're in the cinema next time, right? Touch the walls next time you're in the cinema. Just have a feel, not with your sticky popcorn hands, but just feel the curtains that are draping down the side of the cinema, and feel them. Press on them. And what you'll find is it's squidgy, because what's actually there is acoustic materials. That's building insulation to you and I. And that's all it is. It's just there to absorb sound. But it's everywhere. Now, again, when you look up in a cinema, you'll see that there's a suspended ceiling like you get in an office. That's acoustic treatment. Most people don't realise that's why people have suspended ceilings in their office. It's like what you're doing is you're actually acoustically treating the entire room. That's why you don't get horrendously echoey offices, because those panels that they use for the drop ceiling is acoustic treatment. You're creating a void so that sound can pass through the semi-transparent acoustically panel, bounce off the ceiling and then bounce back through the panel before it reaches your ears. So the cavity works as the acoustic treatment in a drop ceiling. Obviously, it's also useful to stash a load of electrical wiring and lighting and tubing and piping and all the rest of the crap that's above you, and it hides all that. But that's not its purpose. Its purpose is to treat the room acoustically so that when you're in an office, you're not constantly listening to the horrible, echoey, bouncy room. That's why you have a drop ceiling. It's treating a huge chunk of the room because the entire ceiling's treated, the entire surface area's one giant acoustic panel. Well, the cinema has the exact same thing. Next time you look up at the cinema, you go, oh yeah, the cinema's roof is the same as you get in an office building. You're like, yeah, and are all the walls. That's why there's curtains all over them. But you just don't think about it. So when you're in the cinema, you're like, oh, it's all down to how good their speakers are. No, actually not at all. Most cinema speakers are cheap garbage, but they treat the room exceptionally well in most cinemas. Not all, but most decent cinemas, they've treated the room exceptionally well. And then you don't have to use really expensive speakers. I don't know why we're on this. The reason we're talking about this is because I was talking to my wife going, I explained this on the show a couple of days ago. I've reached a point where I've got stock that doesn't owe me any money. So although I've been hovering around zero for the last 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, however many months I've been flogging microphones, the only reason I'm able to flog microphones is because I treated the space. This room is treated for Flat Earth Debate, the show, so that I sound good. Now, at the moment, I'm in a really close proximity microphone situation because I'm testing out a new microphone that I'm potentially going to keep, this Electro Voice RE20. And most people buy an RE20 so they don't have to treat the room because you can be quite close to it. But like anything, if you treat the room, it's still going to be better. And when I'm using my normal shotgun mic, you definitely need to treat the room. So for that purpose, I could treat the room and then sell mics because people can actually hear what they sound like in a treated space. So for that reason, I've managed to make a profit, or I will in the very near future, from selling microphones and buying microphones for the last 10 or 12 months. And I've probably bought and sold each month about $1,000's worth of microphones to then just invest it back into more microphones and sell them and then more and then sell them and so on and so forth, never actually making any real money. But now I'm at the point where I've got about a couple of $1,000's worth of microphones that I'll hopefully flog and actually keep the money, keeping me out of poverty, which is great. But like I say, but for the fact that I've treated the space, I couldn't have done that. Now, if the book comes out and I've still got a few microphones left, that's the ideal situation. I'm not using the money to actually pay my mortgage. And then the book does that, will supplement my income slightly. I might use whatever money I get from the last few microphones to treat the wall behind me. So as all these mics go, so behind me, there's all these microphones. Well, they're going to go. And what I want to do is take this panel, turn it lengthways so it matches the rest of the room. Because all the rest of the room, let's just show my audience, is all horizontally treated. Not horizontally, vertically, if you can still hear me. I'm talking off access to my mic. But whereas behind me, it's horizontally mounted, all these panels. So what I want to do is turn the one that's directly behind me, this one, the correct way, and then hang another 2 next to it so that all of the space behind me has a matching pattern. Now I'll do that with money that I hopefully get from microphones if I'd make enough money from them. Let's just set my camera back up nicely. But whether or not I actually do that, I don't know. It depends entirely on whether or not I've still got enough money left over from flogging microphones. If I have, I want to treat this last wall behind me so there's no gaps in it. So it's just acoustic treatment like the rest of the walls. So everywhere else looks a lot neater because they're flush with one another and they're all just in a line, the various different types. So where there's a black soft one and then a hard one and then another hard one, they're all lined up. Whereas this is kind of a bit of a hodgepodge behind me and always has been. So yeah, hopefully I'll get to treat the space behind me if I can muster the money with microphones that I flog. We will see how we go. I would like to finish it off, and they're several £100 per panel, which I've never got the money to do that sort of thing. And even the ones I have got, I spent 2 years probably begging on Patrons and doing GoFundMes to buy a panel at a time, every birthday and every Christmas. In fact, it must have been more than that. It was probably 4 years worth of buying acoustic treatment. So there we go.
Can get more
Nathan,
flat earth stuff.
That picture you've got up there.
What picture? The one of the finding your fix?
Yeah, I did send you a little clip on your messaging there on Skype, on whatever it's called now. So I can't fucking think straight. Yeah, so that you spoke about that yesterday when we watched the celestial navigation video, and the guy was saying 2 fixes, and you pointed out how you've got to do 3. A couple of things on that clip I've sent you. It's talking about GPS and how that's using, well, they call it satellites, whatever they're using, altitude for the transmitters, and it works in exactly the same way. And the guy talks you through it. And it just looks like getting you 3 fixes when using celestial navigation. And the funny thing is as well, he describes it all, how it's happening in 2D using circles and radius lines to pinpoint your position on Earth. And then at the end, he says, well, this is obviously all happening on a globe. It's just easier to describe it this way. And I found that funny because we've been pointing that out with other people when they're describing how flat Earth's measured, but because it's just easier to do. And this guy does exactly the same thing. It's no big deal. You don't have to critique it, but it's just interesting that we went over this yesterday, and when you look at it, it just looks identical to getting your 3 fixes.
Trilateration explained. Have you ever wondered, how does the global positioning system work?
Global in name only. I mean, I've said this many a time. And shout out to Brian's Logic, where I got this information from originally. The global positioning system's Cartesian. It's 2-dimensional, it's flat.
I guess you did if you're watching this video. GPS uses a method called trilateration. It seems to be widely confused with triangulation, but triangulation requires measuring angles, while trilateration is based upon measuring distances. I'll show you this using a simplified 2-dimensional visualization. Let's say we...
A what now?
2-dimensional. And he's measuring distances, which will be a linear horizontal distance, no doubt.
Just fill me in, though. If we're dealing with something spherical, can we do that 2-dimensionally? It wasn't rhetorical.
Nope.
No. So in terms of this man's examples, we're what? 33 seconds into the video. He's already explaining that this is completely devoid of any sphericity because we're going to be doing it 2-dimensionally. That's right. Yeah, Cartesian. Yeah, that's right. We'll be doing it flat because GPS is flat. That's how it works. Like all measurements, there's no exception. What's that? It's global positioning system. You're a dumbass. You didn't see past the abbreviated name that they give it. You thought it was global just because it's got that in the title. Yeah, a bit like flat Earth calculations that are in Earth curve calculators. If you can't see past the title, you're a headline reader. Global positioning, you say? No, Earth's measured flat. When I say, as bold as brass to the camera, Earth's measured flat in all circumstances and without exception. It's a bold statement. Here we are looking at global positioning. And what do you know? We're going to do it 2D. Yeah, we are, yeah. There's no exceptions. Earth's always measured flat.
I mean, it could, it's GP. We use that term, well, not we, that term is used in celestial navigation, ground positions. And this will show that it is exactly what's going on here. It's the same method as using the star's GP and getting 3 fixes on the ground, yeah, at surface level, using circles of equal elevation. That's exactly what's happening. Not using the stars, but they know the position of these transmitters above the ground, and that's what they're doing. They've copied it.
We have 3 transmitters, A, B, and C. They form a triangle. However, they will be able to locate an object not only inside of the triangle, but anywhere in their range. So let's start by measuring the distance to the satellite A. I'll illustrate the measured distance with a circle. I'm not going to show you the receiver yet, because it will be easier to understand how GPS can determine your position without seeing you. So here we are.
What kind of circle is this? circle of equal elevations?
Yeah. I reckon so, yeah.
You are right. It is.
Well,
it's a two-dimensional circle
on
of
a
equal elevation.
Two-dimensional.
Yeah. So in the way yesterday's line of position was going to cross over at various different points, that's what we'll do with trilateration in this instance. It's going to be flat. Earth's measured flat.
We've detected that the distance from the receiver to the transmitter A is equal to the radius of this circle. This means
The Earth's flat.
And that radius is
go ahead.
flat, and the radius is a straight line radius to the 2D circle at ground level.
that our GPS receiver is located somewhere on it, but we need more information to be sure exactly where.
We could stop right here, though, just to say it, just so the audience is acutely aware. Earth is measured flat for GPS. That's how it's measured. That's how it's dealt with. Do you know why? It's because Earth is flat. That's how we measure it. And there are no exceptions. Was that easier that way? Yeah, that's right. It's easier to measure our flat Earth flat. That's how we do measure it. There's no need to disclaim how much easier it is. We just do measure Earth flat. You only say it's easier than what? Cognitively processing how non-ball-shaped we're measuring Earth. That's right, we don't measure Earth ball-shaped. Ever. To create a ball for you numpties, idiots, headline readers, to believe in, you also need to measure Earth flat to achieve that too. You're idiots, talking to my audience who believe in a ball that they think is below their feet. You measure Earth flat to come up with that stupid, idiotic belief that you all fell for. And I'm calling you stupid for not realising just how flat Earth is always measured. We're going to point it out along with all these normies who describe things like GPS and how flat Earth's being measured when you use it. Because it is.
Right now, it can be almost anywhere. Let's now measure the distance to the transmitter B. This should vastly increase our positioning precision. Now, the circles intersect in 2 points.
Yeah,
See, that's where we got up to yesterday with the celestial navigation guy. Now he was saying he's on one of them points. Now that wasn't true, but it's the same thing we watched yesterday with celestial navigation, getting the GP of the star at ground position, in relation to your position, and the radius in between them 2 points, giving you the circle of equal elevation. So we've got 2 circles of equal elevation there, 2 fixes.
Quick shout out to... Oh, why isn't it? Slide me slider. Tuberculous again, who I couldn't pronounce yesterday. Thank you very much for the super chat. He says, isn't, quote, Earth is flat on the list? Probably. I mean, they might as well just boil it down to just saying Earth's flat is on the list. You're not allowed to do that. It's not a fair argument. On us, we lose. Meanwhile, I mean, are they going to go and moan at this guy? Yeah, I'm talking to you dumbasses in these servers that get told by some dictatorial little Hitler that things can't be argued about because they've got them on a list. Okay, are you going to go and tell this guy that it's trilateration when utilising horizontal distance measurements between the transmission points isn't allowed because it ipso facto requires Earth to be flat to function? You're going to go and tell him it's on a list? You dicks. You idiots. I'm talking to you flurfs now. Hey, ballers, you can relax. Loosen those sphincters. I'm talking to flurf idiots, also known as anti-globers. The guys that think they're flat earthers. You're not, you're morons. What's that? There's a list that says you can't argue for horizontal distance proving a flat earth. That's how it's being measured in this system of trilateration. For Earth position, flat and 2D like being described. You're going to go and tell this guy in his comment section that he needed to put a load of disclaimers in, even though you've done it 2-dimensionally and used a horizontal distance. That's a weak argument. It's not an argument. It's just how Earth's being measured. Flat. So that it can function to find where you are. Flat. That's how it's done. That's how Earth's measured. There's no exceptions. So that's a weak argument. It's not an argument. It's a statement of absolute fact. Earth is measured flat. What's that? But it came from celebrity Nathan Oakley. Yeah, it did. That's right. It's copywritten. Also, a standard in normie society where everybody measures Earth flat and there aren't any exceptions. This is no exception. Earth's being measured flat with horizontal distances and circles of equal elevation for lines of positions that intersect at 2 different points. So you can find out where the hell you are by measuring Earth flat. Now, if you're a Dumbo in some server that likes sniffing your own farts because you can argue about how ball-shaped things aren't, then you're not going to like me telling you that it's not that complicated. Yeah? These idiots that like sniffing their own farts and telling themselves how smart they are because they figured out how balls don't work get undermined completely by me on camera, smug as you like, going, it's not that complicated, it's not that big a deal. You need to sniff your own farts knowing how balls don't work. You can just look at any measurement of Earth ever and know for sure and without a doubt Earth is flat. Because that's how it's being measured.
It's funny though, Nathan. I mean, how many times, and all of you on the anywhere Discord panel, how many times have you heard a globe throw this in your face? How does GPS work then? Thinking it's some sort of, because it's got the word global in it, that it's proof that you live on a globe. And now it's pointing out now how this is circles of equal elevation, same as celestial navigation. Yeah, you're gonna need a flat Earth for this, I'm afraid.
This means that our lost traveler can be in either of these points. We're still not sure where exactly, but the third satellite named C should provide us with an answer. We're measuring the distance to the GPS receiver and here we are. The 3 circles have only one common point. And if our detected distances are correct, this point of intersection has to be the location of.
Alternatively, it doesn't work. Like if you deny how flat Earth has just been measured for the distance to form the radius, that's a straight line, ascribed in a mile measurement or kilometre measurement, that's on a straight line for a radius for a circle that's flat and 2-dimensional in this system to find your position, that works successfully all day long. Flat. Because Earth's measured flat. Now, if you say, no, you're not allowed to say horizontal distance is used for the trilateration radial value, that's weak, it's on my list, then you are a moron. Like, really stupid. Now, if you're being told it's weak to say Earth's measured flat, well, why do we measure it flat then? Is it weak to find your position with trilateration and global positioning? Because to do so, you require Earth be measured flat. Because it is. Flat. Earth, that is. What's that? But you understand how far we should see to a geometric physical spherical horizon when we measure 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height off surface level in feet. And you can argue that for 25 minutes straight, confusing everybody around you, but making you seem really smart. All right, it wasn't that serious. Just measured Earth flat with your horizontal distance, with your perpendicular height off surface level. So you didn't really need to sniff your own farts telling people how far we should see to a geometric horizon. That's kind of stupid and redundant. You're just trying to make yourself seem smart. The whole time, Earth was just measured flat in the most basic and simplistic of ways, like horizontal distance measurements, flat maps. It's really basic. Now, if you don't understand it, what does that make you? Like a moron listening to some dictator in a server tell you what's on a list to argue about? Can't you think for yourselves? Can't you see the flat Earth measurement? Are you stupid? Do you need to be told what you can be talking about from a list? That's kind of sad and stupid. Me, you can have your beliefs, I'll tell you that. If you want to believe you're on a ball based on flat Earth measurements, you can believe that. I'm not going to tell you it's not allowed to be talked about. I haven't got a list of ball-believing idiocy that you're not allowed to talk about. Talk about what you like. Yeah? You want to talk about being on a ball because you've measured Earth flat in 6 different ways. That's all right. You can believe you're on a ball based on your flat Earth measurements that you required. I'll allow it. I'm not some dictatorial Hitler. I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to produce lists that tell you what you can't talk about. But I'll be talking about how Earth is flat, and then going to these normies who measure Earth flat all day long, because that's what they do. All of them, without exception. The measurements and the people. They're all measuring Earth flat, so they can find, in this case, their position with trilateration. Isn't that cool? Yes, it is.
But Nathan, why would you want to believe you're on something when you could know what you're on?
I know I'm on a flat Earth, Neil. If you're an idiot and want to believe you're on a ball because you've measured Earth flat and can convert it, and you're clever because you can understand the mathematics of converting flat Earth measurements like distance, horizontal and linear, into ball-believing circumferences to the outside edges of spheres that violate the base principle of the measurement that you took in the first place. I mean, if you want to do that, that's up to you. You can do that. I don't mind. You have my permission.
Of our receiver. And it really is. Neat. But how does GPS actually measure distances?
Flat, horizontally, and linear.
Let's see. GPS satellites constantly broadcast two pieces of information: their own location and their current clock time. Because the electromagnetic waves that are used to carry this information through the space travel at a speed of light, one can measure a distance using a stopwatch. Well, if it's quick enough to tap it twice in a millionth of a second with precision. Let's say that at this moment all devices, the satellites and the receiver, have synchronized clocks. I'll illustrate the time on a timeline.
At this point, I should really actually promote this guy. So this is Unifo, is that right? Unfo? Am I saying that right?
What's your phone?
It looks like Unfo, Unfaux. Am I mispronouncing it? Who cares? Regardless of what he's called, go and let him know. At Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me with a polite comment that doesn't immediately get removed by the YouTube algorithmic bots or indeed by the videographer himself. So as you can see, there's a link to his video, and if you are in my live audience currently, if you are amongst the 62 people watching live now as I speak, then please do pop along to this gentleman's video and let him know that we have covered his trilateration on flat Earth debate, whilst looking down the barrel of the camera and pointing out how flat Earth is being measured. So please do this. I'm not saying it for my health. There is actually a link so that some of the people who are actually watching live do actually click on it and go to his video as we speak and pop a comment on his video so that he gets some algorithmic love from us, where we, the flat earthers, would be suppressed from all algorithmic love because we don't pepper our observations of how flat Earth is being measured by saying, but that doesn't mean it's not ball-shaped. So please let him know. At Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Go ahead.
Just saying, like, he's just explaining something, isn't he? Like the other videos he watched. He's not. He's just explaining something like the other videos we watched. He's not got a purpose in this arena, we'll call it. He's made it, he's all right. Yeah, he's called it global positioning. He's mentioning the speed of light, and at the end, he will refer to this happens on a 3D globe. But that's because he's been programmed to believe that. But when he's actually showing you how it's actually done, how it's actually measured, we've had to do it in 2D using circles and radius distances, horizontal, because that is what's happening. And I just found it really interesting how familiar or exactly the same it is to celestial navigation. I thought it was really, really good to see that.
At the beginning of our timeline...
I've got an issue with the satellites. Sorry. Where are the satellites that he's talking about? Because he said satellites there. Where are they in all of this traveling at the speed of light through space? Is that true?
I don't know. I wasn't making a claim about it.
Well, I mean, these transmitters that are being used, aren't they? They could be anywhere, couldn't they? As long as, in this example, as long as we know their GP. That's because that's what they're using. Something at altitude, a transmitter at altitude, and they know the GP of it. That's what's happening here.
Yeah, by GP means ground position. So where it says A, B, and C on screen, these are the positions on the ground that you'll get your flat radius value for distance measurement, regardless of how that's achieved. So if you can achieve it by a ping, who cares? If it's coming from a ground transmitter, who cares? If it's up in the sky, directly above position A, offering you A as the ground position, then so what? It doesn't matter. What you're achieving with that information is a circle of equal elevation. So you can draw a line of position, same as satellite navigation, same as celestial navigation would do. It's exactly the same.
Every satellite sends out its own position and time. But before this information reaches the receiver, it's already outdated. I'll mark the arrival times with letters on the timeline.
So where in celestial navigation you'd look it up in the almanac, when you measure the angle to the star, you then got a chronometer, aka watch. And you'd say, mark, when you've got the angle. Someone writes down the exact time. Then you go to the almanac and look it up. Because then you've got the, like one deck just alluded to, ground position of that star at that time, at that angle. So you can draw a circle of position, a circle of equal elevation. So you've got a line of position to figure out where you are intersecting with a different circle. Exactly the same methodology. But what you need is where that star is above at a given time. So you note the time. So, you know, the advent of chronometers, that's watches on ships, was what enabled them to do this more accurately. Figure out where they were at a given time based on the position of the star over a particular part of the land at a given time. All noted in the almanac.
Now the receiver knows where and how much time away from it every satellite is to be found. Multiplying this by the speed of light easily gives us the distance instead of the time. Now, finding the common point of all three distance circles and taking into account the location.
Yeah.
Speed of light? What's the speed of light?
1 AU for, what is it, 7 minutes? According to the heliocentric nonsense paradigm. Why, Neil? Who cares? All it's doing is pinging out and getting a return signal so it can determine the distance, so it can draw a radius at a certain value. The fact that you're getting too hung up on the fact that it's got speed of light in the description. So what?
Satellites will give us our own location. And this is how GPS is able to measure distance using a clock. Of course, in real world, this all happens in a three-dimensional instead of a two-dimensional space, so it's a bit more complicated, but the basic principles are the same.
In terms of the horizontal linear distance...
I bet it's complicated. Sorry, mate.
I was going to say, for the linear horizontal distance that you're ascribing to a circle of equal elevation, it has to be two-dimensional. Just saying, well, this exists within the three-dimensional, does it? Because reasons.
I hope you've learned something useful.
Didn't learn any three-dimensionality. This is what you wanted to focus on, isn't it, one deck? Because you're like, even though we've just done it two-dimensionally and described it with horizontal linear distances and circles of equal elevation, actually it's 3D. For reasons. Moving on.
Yeah.
So we're just going to accept the satellites, really.
That tickled me. Because that's what I say. Like I said, Triangles has been doing, Annie. You know, he's showing elevation profiles along a horizontal line, but it's just easier to do it that way. Don't need to show it on a globe in 3D. We just do it 2D off a flat horizontal plane, much easier. Yeah, you bet it's easier because that's how it's being done.
Yeah, Earth's just measured flat. It's just easier to measure it flat because it's flat. I mean, obviously, if it was globe-shaped, we'd be measuring it globe-shaped, and it would be impossible to measure it and describe it any other way because it'd be globe-shaped. But because it isn't globe-shaped and is flat, that's precisely how much easier it'll be to measure and determine your position with respect to a plane, because we're on a plane. That's how it's being measured. There aren't any exceptions to that fact. Earth is flat. That's how we know for sure and without a doubt Earth's flat, because that's how it's measured. What's that? That's weak. Oh, yeah. Get lost, you stupid numpties.
Not being measured with satellites. Triangulation.
Thanks for watching.
My pleasure. So let this guy know. The video is called How GPS Works, Trilateration Explained. So please let the videographer, whose name I cannot pronounce, know, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me, with a polite comment that doesn't immediately get removed by the YouTube algorithmic bots, or indeed by the videographer himself. It is cruising its way by in the YouTube live stream chat as I speak. So please do actually click on that link if you're amongst the 76 people who are currently watching this live stream. It's quite an old video. It was made 11 years ago. I'm sure he'll appreciate getting some YouTube love for it.
You guys are just jumping on the flat plane all the time and allowing things like satellites. Where are these satellites anyway? Aren't they in a violation of natural law?
Yeah, that's why I brought it up. Thank you,
What
Neil.
the heck, man?
That's not his
Yeah,
focus.
that's important.
Who cares?
It's important to get the listeners to know, because when the word satellite is mentioned, they're instantly thinking something in space, right? The audience and those who are listening to this. That's why I brought it up, and the speed of light thing as well.
It might
So,
be. Might be a
but I'm
balloon.
glad that we're watching this.
Okay, what if it's a balloon?
Just a few more words. Get a few more words out. I'm glad that we're watching this kind of video again, because it's continuation of yesterday. We're pointing out how they're hiding the fact that they're trying to hide the fact that they're measuring a flat Earth behind the words, oh, it's easier to do it, even though we're on a globe, kind of thing. I just love it that we're doing this. It's fantastic.
But the satellite bit is not, it's a non sequitur. He's not here in this video describing about how satellites exist in the sky vacuum 10 to the minus 17 torr beyond an area of volume that we're breathing gas where the gas isn't expanding into, violating the second law of thermodynamics. He's just saying we get the information from satellites. Now, I've seen other videos where they say, okay, well, today we're actually getting this particular ping or satellite information timed from a ground station. In other words, it's coming from one of those mobile phone towers. But it's the same as how it would work if it came from a satellite in space. It's just, we need the redundancy of having the ground towers do it. You're like, okay, so what you're saying is this could work off ground towers. Like, yeah. But he's not, this videographer that is, isn't saying any of that. He's just saying satellite, like as an erroneous claim. But he's describing the trilateration process, which is what Wandek wanted to focus on, not the sky vacuum process. He's not talking about launching tin cans into a sky vacuum, is he?
Nobody's claiming he's getting the reading from there.
Yeah, it's a throwaway claim, and we're now covering it. We have now covered it past tense. We've talked about how there's no satellites in a sky vacuum. If you're going to make a claim that there's little tin cans floating around in an area of volume that the gas you're breathing isn't dispersing into, then that's a violation of the second law of thermodynamics. The gas you're breathing would fill the space the satellite was in if it was claimed to be there. Now, I appreciate that generally that's how it would be claimed, but it wasn't in this video. So, but for the fact that you brought it up, the audience wouldn't have been tarnished with such nonsense beyond their predetermined expectations when the word, quote, satellite, end quote, is used.
Oh, yeah, because people think satellites are on the freaking ground. I get it.
Yeah. No, they know that satellites are in space. That's why Neil and myself highlighted that, so that people who are listening get to understand what you just said, Nathan. And that is just a second law of thermodynamics violation, and you're informing the listener. Satellites do not exist up there unless you've been up there yourself to check it. Have you, ladies and gentlemen? No, you haven't. So bear that in mind. That's why we're here, to highlight every little trick that they pull out. Thank you, Neil. I salute you on that when you raised up like me. Thank you.
But the actual, I agree with you guys. Yeah, the satellites don't exist. That was, like I say, that wasn't the point of it. They just transmitters altitude somewhere somehow. Just I don't know. But even the claim of a satellite spinning around a globe, right? In his example, there is no globe. So there can't be a satellite spinning around a globe because he's measuring Earth flat when he's describing how this works.
Right,
That's
exactly.
correct.
So, but by the same token, would we need to speculate about satelloons that might be pinging out information for GPS to pick up on? In my experience, travelling all over Europe and all over the UK and just generally driving a lot, was that if you had a cloudy, foggy day, you'd get no satellite signal. Well, how does that make any freaking sense? If you're in a city with tall buildings, you lose GPS. Now, does that make any sense if it's coming from the sky? In my humble opinion, it's all coming from ground stations. And you only need a bit of fog on the ground and suddenly you don't get a signal no more.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, what you just said there. But again, if it was Satelloons, I personally would feel that I'd have to explain that to the listeners, that Satelloons do exist, ladies and gentlemen. There are Satelloons out there with bits of electronic equipment attached to them. They exist. But hardware, like washing machines with solar panels, geostationaries on a globe that doesn't exist, that doesn't happen. And it's important to get that out.
Well, you got to be careful when you say satellites don't exist. We're claiming that where they claim they are is an impossibility. Right?
Right.
Yeah, it's the area of volume claimed to be above your head where gas is not dispersing. Because if there was an area 10 to the minus 17 Tor above our heads that had satellites residing in it, then the gas would fill that space. We'd all be dead. We'd have never developed gas pressure to breathe.
Exactly.
But that wasn't the main focus of the video.
Yeah, I know, but might as well cover everything.
Sure.
Because
I'm
there
glad we
are
have.
people listening, and when they hear satellites, they think space is real. So just cover it like we did. That's all. We can move on.
Yeah, we're going to do that every time. If I see something odd like that, I'm going to jump on it like a bulldog.
That's fair enough. I'm glad you have. But by the same token, if all things are equal, you wouldn't necessarily assume that your audience has gone to outer space because the word satellite's been used, as much as I can understand why you would think that might be the expectation. But it might not be. The audience isn't necessarily going to say, all right, he used the word satellite, therefore space is real. It's like we're talking about how Earth gets measured flat.
Yeah, but people are going to think, those who are in doubt or have some doubt will clearly lose that doubt when we tell them. That's what we're here for, to squash any chance of doubt. That's why we're here. Do it properly. That's how the Japanese do it. Okay, the Japanese leave you with no doubt. They cover everything. That's why they make good electronic equipment in cars and that.
Hold on. Before I got into flat Earth, every time I heard satellite, I thought they were talking about something on the ground or in the ocean. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I'm going to assume that my audience, when they hear satellite, they instantly think something in space. And that's why they're there. There might be those seasoned audience followers. They're fine. I'm not talking to them. Talk to the ones who are thinking they're on a globe or they're trying to find out the truth somehow. And we're bringing them along. And they might have a doubt on that satellite. Now we've helped them. Bang. Thanks to One Deck and Nathan, of course. And the rest of the panel.
But I thought that picture that's still up there on the screen, them three circles of equal elevation that you acquire from the elevation angle measurements using a sextant at sea. That was exactly what the guy was showing, wasn't it? And that's what just, I was just flicking through video. This popped up and I thought, that just reminds me of celestial navigation and the three fixes and the circles of equal elevation. And it was exactly the same when you're using sea sextant at sea level. That is exactly what's happening. And that's what grabbed me. So I just watched the video. Obviously, what we've just discussed, satellites are in their speed of light. And then he claims it's happening on a globe. But we know it's not. But like you say, we've highlighted that now. Yeah, we know about this violation of space vacuum. But I just thought it was interesting how they just work the same, not using the stars, just using the GP of something else.
Thanks to 10th Man and his diligence in bringing the sextant out, describing how it's used, tripping it out on pre-show after pre-show after pre-show, proving that Earth is measured flat. Well done, 10th Man. Well done. I had to give him the credit because through the grapevine, I heard somebody's taking credit for it.
Is that right, Neil?
Yeah. Followed the Black Swan. It went hand in hand. It's his. No, I don't think so. 10th man spent the money. 10th man spent the time. 10th man spent the time teaching us. 10th man brought the section to life. All right? Quantum disgracer?
Quantum disgracer. That's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, credit where credit's due. If it wasn't for Quantum Eraser talking about the sky vacuum not being real, we wouldn't be having this conversation that Jin wants to highlight. And, you know, all credit where credit's due.
Yeah, and I don't take that away, but don't try and pull those stolen valor when it comes to celestial navigation. That was 10th man.
Yeah, we all know that. Right, trilateration. Trilateration. Is that correct? Trilateration. Trilateration. Doing the thumbnail.
Gotta ask Paula. She's in chat. She's in spelling whiz.
I'm pretty sure I've got it right. I've double and triple checked it. The last thing I want is to put it on my thumbnail and have it be spelt wrong. And it's 2436, right? 2436 live. Flat Earth debate 2436. Trilateration. Effect. Cool, thank you. That was a great video. I want to do more exactly the same, right? This is exactly what I want. One Deck, or anybody who's providing videos. Just stuff that's describing any Earth measurement, ever. Because there's going to be the requirement of a flat Earth be measured. Because that's how Earth is measured. That's how Earth is. Always was, always will be. Earth's flat.
Yep.
Yeah, might as well bring the silver bullet, right?
Yeah.
I was looking for some on flight, but a lot of the videos they use gravity. I don't know. Maybe you could go through them. I mean, they use satellites here, so I'm sure we could use them. Even though they claim that for the plane to start the lift, it needs to overcome gravity.
Thing is, Neil, like we've just said about this video, you're going to get it because it's a heliocentric world. So but the main points in these videos is that it'll probably be talking about, you know, lift and thrust and pitch, and it will say that the wings will be in a certain position to overcome gravity to lift the plane in the air. So yeah, then again, we'll have to go into the, you know, we know it's going to be saying that because that's what they believe is happening. But obviously, but then you get into the gravity conversation when we're talking about how the actual plane, once it's up there, is maintaining altitude over sea level for
You mean mean sea
distances.
level?
Sorry, I mean mean sea level.
Yeah, the more and more normies we get out there explaining to the world how Earth is measured flat. I mean,
Well,
how can you go wrong with that?
But like you and Jin have just pointed out, when them videos come up, just have a bit of a pause. You just describe, like the guys just mentioned gravity. We're not here to talk about gravity. This is the person believes this gravity, but obviously we're not focusing on that. And like mention it there and then for the audience, you know, if they feel that's the way to go about it.
Yeah, to dispel any idea that gravity is assisting the plane in aviation and flying and operation. It is not. When you hear the word gravity, that person has just murdered the principle of flight. That's what they're doing there. They're not helping their plane lift up. Nothing to do with gravity at all. Nothing.
Well, we could bring out. Go ahead, on deck.
They'll be presuming a Newtonian gravity, like a force, you know, pulling into the center of a core globe Earth. But then, if it was a flight video, obviously that can't be happening, like I explained in this one, because once the plane gets to altitude, you know, pitched up above horizontal in reference to sea level, well, there is no globe, is there, for the gravity that's pulling into the center of the core?
One
because
small correction,
the plane's
sorry.
referencing.
When you said gravity's
Plane's
referencing the centre of a ball, no, it's not. It's perpendicular to a plane. Newtonian gravity is a downward vector perpendicular to a plane of reference. You're going to need a flat Earth for their gravity. You're giving them more than they deserve when you say it's a force that moves to the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth. No, it isn't. It's perpendicular to a plane is Newtonian gravity. You're going to need a flat Earth for the out-of-date 110-year-old rhetoric of defied by gas attracting gas, which it doesn't, gravity, because it's perpendicular to a plane of reference. It's a downward orientation. It's a downward vector, isn't it?
Yes, and if they use pseudo-harmonic force space, then what does that have to do with a plane flying?
Nothing. It's not a force. But the force of gravity that would be asserted would be down, perpendicular to a plane. You'll need a flat Earth for their gravity. And when you're describing thrust and giving ballistic trajectory, you're still doing it with horizontal linear distance measurement and perpendicular elevation, aren't you?
Absolutely.
You're still measuring Earth flat, even if you're asserting gravity.
Yeah, I always stumble past that one. Yeah.
I just want the audience to realise that it's not that big a deal, right? That's just something that I want to kind of communicate over the course of the next, whatever it's going to be, years, months, doesn't really matter. It's not that serious. We just measure Earth flat. Yeah, it never really was that big a deal. The normies know it. They just don't think that there's a necessity to explain away why they're not measuring it ball-shaped when they describe how flat it is. They just describe how flat it is and how flat they're measuring it, or how flat they're utilising the measurements from it with. That's all normies do. Now, we can do that. We're flatties, and we can align with the normies when they measure Earth flat, because they do measure Earth flat. Because Earth's measured flat. It's not that serious anymore. Don't have to worry about Copernican or Newtonian or Einsteinian. None of this stuff means anything anymore to you if it's, as a flatty, a true flatty, not an anti-glober, not someone sniffing their own farts telling you how far we should or shouldn't see. That's stupid. Nonsense that you were brainwashed to make yourself sound smart in front of others when you tell them the revelation that Earth's flat. It was never that serious. That same person that you were, delivering a revelation that it was flat, would have just gone out and measured it flat with a map and a horizontal distance anyway. They'd have picked up a compass and figured out that linear horizontal directionality was all that the compass could ever have afforded them. So it's always flat. It's not that big a deal. Now, that's going to ruin a lot of people's day. Anti-globers that felt really smart because they could tell their neighbour how non-globe shaped it was. But I'm just going to shatter those illusions. It's not that big a deal. Earth's just measured flat. It's not that serious.
Yeah, that's why they do science in there to complicate things and make things really technical. When it's basically, it's just a measurement. What the hell are you on about? Freaking science and a scientific method. What does that have to do with measurements? Absolutely nothing.
I mean, it's got relevance in the subject. It does have a relevance in the subject, right? For those of you who are deceived into believing you're on a ball, you were deceived with the magic words of science. You were told, well, this is science, meaning it's proven, often when describing aspects and concrete nouns that shouldn't be going through the scientific method because they can't. They can't formulate a hypothesis with a cause and effect relationship. If you understand what the scientific method is, you can understand how you've been deceived into believing just so stories because they had a magic word, science, experiment, hypothesis, attached to them. But in terms of just flat earthing, not being an anti-glober, not understanding how Coriolis effect does or doesn't work, not understanding how we won't see as far as the mathematics of a globe dictates, none of that nonsense, just understanding that Earth's just measured flat. You'll suddenly start to realise it was never that serious. It was never that big a deal to begin with. And you don't have to feel oh so smart by just telling people, yeah, Earth's just measured flat. It's not that big a deal. Never was.
Yeah, that's right.
what I meant.
I always said that 8-year-old children can conduct this observation test. You can give a bunch of kids the equipment, they can go out and measure this out flat. That's how simple it is. It doesn't require a PhD, a master's, a doctorate, a bachelor's. That's not necessary. It is that simple.
Yeah, that's what I meant. They brought the scientific method in to just, complicate things. You don't need the scientific method with measurements.
Exactly. With that, I'm going to say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering Streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, though, if you are watching this live, this is where I bid you farewell. So, another massive thank you to today's Discord and G Plus panels, and to you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, hitting me up on PayPal and Patreon, smashing the super chat, all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.